Hi, Dana. It's your sister-in-law, Cheryl. I'm here on vacation, and I called you because as we were leaving dinner from the Denny's, I saw someone taking a shit behind the dumpster, and it just made me think of you. Just calling to say hi. Give me a call back. This is your sister-in-law, Cheryl.
Oh my god.
And welcome,
Jesus.
and welcome back. I got this. I got this. Welcome to episode 52 of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ, here with my co-host.
Paul, as usual. And 52 episodes later, it's not getting any better, guys. It's not going uphill. We're not gonna. You know what? The jokes are what they are at this point. You know what to expect. And it just is what it is.
And you know what's really weird? We're not mellowing with age. We're just
No.
getting worse.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting crazier.
Yes.
Like, more unhinged, and I'm just definitely more of an effort attitude, yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
is this our PG episode?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Just the way you were like, F, and I was like, oh, we're coming from that way today.
Honestly, a PG episode, you'd see us here, like, sweating, we'd start shaking, like, our fists are clenched, just like our holes.
No, because I have found a way to swear at work without swearing.
Oh my gosh, how?
It involves me saying sugar instead of shit a lot, and it makes everyone laugh.
See, that stuff, I don't fuck with that stuff. Like, of course I'm not cursing in the workplace. Of course I harass my coworkers. Like, that's a given. But cursing, no.
And by coworkers, he means me. I'm the one who's been harassed.
Yes. And you know what?
Verbally, physically.
Mentally, spiritually, financially.
Anyways.
Oh my god.
What's new with you?
What is new with me? That's a good question. There's really not much new with me right now. Still terminally single. We're living, we're vibing, and I've been, like, trying to take on this personality and persona of being someone who's chill and okay with things, but honestly, I'm really just not.
No, you're not.
I'm so high-strung and
Yeah.
so anxious and so, like, intense about shit. I'm never gonna be one of those mellow, cool guys, stoner types that are just like, whatever, bro, just go with the flow. And I'm like, but what if the flow kills us?
Yeah, the last time we went out, you managed to say if I got into a car accident, it would be your fault.
Yes, but that's a story for another time. What if it was my fault?
Did you cut my brake lines?
You and I both know I don't know where the brake line is.
We're lucky you know where the Prindle is.
Do you want am or If you get that reference, you're an OG, honestly.
If
No.
you get that reference, you can stay. If you don't get that reference, please stay. We need you.
By the way, really quick, before we move on to your week, I have been pondering the Wendy's Frosty, okay? And
Okay.
it's not quite a milkshake, but it's also, like, not quite ice cream. So I guess it's what you would consider a malt.
No.
Now, what would you consider it then?
Malt's something different.
Well, what's a malt? Yeah, look that up. Because what is the Wendy's Frosty?
I think it's called soft serve.
It's just soft serve ice cream, but then why do we drink it? Because people don't normally
Drink it.
I thought didn't those bitches used to come with a straw, or am I going crazy?
Okay, malt is a sweetener with a distinct toasted caramel-like fruity flavor.
Okay.
So, okay, so a malt is made from malted milk powder,
Okay.
whereas like a milkshake is made from milk.
See, it's just such a unique, like, ice cream thing. I've been pondering it, and I've been thinking a lot about it lately. But I think, even though you said it's not a malt, I think that's what I'm going to settle on.
Okay, Wikipedia calls it a frozen dairy dessert.
Can they legally call it that? Is there really dairy in there?
I think so. I don't think you can call it dairy if it's not.
Oh, also, before we move on to your week, Spirit Halloween is open now, so excited to venture there. Yes, very excited to venture there. I love Halloween decor.
Maybe we can go after this because I did ruin my shirt changing.
Oh.
I did not ruin it. I have makeup on. Get over it. But it was a white shirt, and I took it. Paul and I wanted to kind of match vibes.
As you can tell, we look exactly the same this episode.
Well, no, you've got like your sheer shirt on, and I've whatever this is.
Yeah.
I stole this at a Pulse Closet.
Very that. How was your week?
Well, I got makeup on a white t-shirt, so.
Not good. Anything else happening? You've been pondering anything?
My grandparents have company over at our house right now.
Yes.
Which is very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
And I nearly doxed my grandparents and said what their last name was.
Oh, period.
Bill and Rose would not appreciate that.
No.
I think they want to stay as separate as possible.
Mm-hmm.
These are my mother's parents, so we do not have the same last name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my grandfather's been freaking out for 3 days about people coming over the house.
Everything needs to be spotless.
Yes. And it's just, I'm very glad to not be there right now.
I don't blame you. How about... Wait, do you have anything else to say?
No. Is it time for Paul's Pop Culture Corner?
We need to discuss the VMAs, okay?
Okay.
Because my good girl, Lady Gaga, was robbed. She was up for the Best Performance Award, or some sort of award for Best Performance, and it was like her and Lady Gaga and it was Lady Gaga and Katy Perry and a couple other people. And Lady Gaga's Paparazzi performance from 2009 that changed the fucking world should have won. But they gave it to Katy Perry performing Roar that no one fucking remembers.
Wait, Katy Perry performed Roar at the VMAs?
Yeah, like exactly. She was robbed, okay?
I only
gagged.
remember one thing that Katy Perry ever did at the VMAs, and it's when she showed up wearing that stupid candy outfit.
Oh, yeah, that was during Teenage Dream era.
Yes, but she didn't even perform. She was like a presenter, and it was like, I don't think she could move because it was all like heavy plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to like be placed, and then like the camera had to pan to her and then pan away because she couldn't move.
Yeah, that was weird. No, Katy Perry, I don't know. Homegirl, it's just tired.
She's on American Idol now, and we have talked about this, that once you're judging American Idol, you're no longer at the top of your career. I'm sorry, Katie.
Very that.
Sorry, Paula. Sorry. Did Randy Jackson ever have a peak of career? Was that his peak?
That's what I'm saying. No.
But, like, sorry, Paula Abdul, sorry, Katy Perry, but, like, sorry.
I have one last controversial thing to say to the people, though. And I don't know if the people are ready for this, but it's something I have to say. It's something else that is also getting a little tired, which is Taylor Swift winning every award.
Yes.
I love Taylor Swift. Like, if you know me, I love Taylor Swift. But yes, we get it. She's going to go and she's going to win every award. It's time to let some other people. She has enough VMAs and Emmys and Grammys and all of that.
What did she win it for?
She won Best Song of the Year for, that one with Post Malone.
Oh, that is not the best song of the year.
Girl, espresso, bitch. Sabrina Carpenter. Get into Sabrina.
But Sabrina won. What did Sabrina win?
She won 2 or 3 things, I think.
Oh.
But
I only saw the one on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor Swift is going to win a lot of awards for Tortured Poets Department, which I don't fully agree with because I don't really like Tortured Poets Department that much. But
I do. I don't know. Do we want to get controversial on the pod?
I mean, I'm probably going to get canceled by my fellow Swifties, but...
Last year's Grammys, where she announced Tortured Poets.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It wasn't cute.
I think it was everything.
No, I think she should have done it on her own time. I think
It was our 13th Grammy, bitch. That's our lucky number.
I understand that, but I feel like an award show, it's an industry thing. It was a night for anyone in the music industry. And let's face it, all the headlines the next day were not about who won what. It was about Taylor Swift announcing a new album.
Well, if it wasn't about her album, it would have been about her winning the awards. It was going to be about Taylor either way. Let's be real.
Which I think we need to. I love Taylor Swift. I think she's a phenomenal artist.
Yes.
But I think it's time that we as a society move past calling her the Wonder Kid.
I mean, she is, and she always will be. She's the doll and the diva of our generation. She's
But
that girl. She's that bitch.
Just, yeah. I really don't need to hear every time she takes a shit.
I can agree with that. We don't need as much media coverage, but I do like hearing about what she's doing and things.
Yes. And I do think that it's. I mean, that. Oh, what is it called? The song with Post Malone?
Fortnite.
It was good. It was not best song of the year.
No, it wasn't groundbreaking, if we're being
But
honest.
also, we do have to realize that the VMAs, they're not exactly like the Grammys.
Yeah.
It's MTV, and they're pandering to what's in now, whereas the Grammys actually looking at the industry as a whole.
Yeah, and Taylor Swift is the industry right now.
Anyways, Hot Guy of the Month.
Let's get into it.
Do you think I should tell them what we decided?
I think it's time we break the news to the people.
So, this is the last week of Hot Guy of the Month for October, Joe Locke. It is also the last time we will be doing the segment of Hot Guy of the Month. We've really enjoyed it, but as we've gone on and experimented, we've found other segments that we enjoy doing more, such as Paul's Pop Culture. And our focus here is, we have two focuses on this podcast. And that is what's going on in our lives, because we want you all to feel that you know us as well as we know each other, and that we are all part of a community. And the second thing is getting into the paranormal.
Yes.
And Hot Guy of the Month is wonderful and it's been fun, but it's not adding to either of those things. And so we've just decided to retire it, unless you all start rioting and start cutting people's heads off and showing up outside our house with heads on spikes.
Which I don't think's gonna happen. I think it's time
Or DM us and say, like, no, we love Hot Guy of the Month, and we'll maybe bring it back in 6 months.
Yes. Let me turn off the fridge real quick.
Oh, come on, Paul!
I forgot to unplug my fridge and it was gonna make sounds.
Way to go, Carl!
That's a good find.
I know it is.
Way to go. Oops. Go ahead.
So our last Hot Guy of the Month fact for Joe Log, it kind of hurts me to say it's the last Hot Guy of the Month, is that Joe Locke is a dual threat now. Not only does he have a starring role on Heartstopper and a starring role on Agatha All Along, but he also made his Broadway debut in the last year.
Oh, yeah.
He played Tobias in Sweeney Todd.
Mm-hmm.
I believed he played it with Aaron Tveit and Annalise. Oh shit, I can't remember her name.
I can't help. I don't know any of those people.
I know.
don't know anything about Broadway.
But anyways, they were the replacements. It's the latest revival. They took over from Josh Groban and Sutton Foster.
Oh, I love Sutton Foster. I think she did really great work. Mm-hmm. When she did work on whatever she did work on.
What did she do work on, Paul?
I think she worked... I think she was great in that ABC Family comedy where they did the thing on that big network show.
Do you want a hint?
Sure.
She was in Younger with Hilary Duff.
Younger?
Isn't that what it was called?
What the fuck?
The show with Hilary Duff.
Lizzie McGuire?
No! If I meant Lizzie McGuire, I would say Lizzie McGuire.
Hilary Duff wasn't in any other show that I'm aware of.
Yes, she was!
Girl, what the fuck is going on in you? Okay.
Yes, she was.
For the folks at home, I am so sorry you have to witness this. I'm
gonna pull this up, and you are going to eat your words.
Girl, Hilary Duff was in Lizzie McGuire, the Lizzie McGuire movie, Raise Your Voice, and Cadet Kelly.
Yes, Younger is an American comedy drama television series created and produced by Darren Star. It is set in New York City and it follows the personal and professional life of Liza Miller. She is single and alone in her 40s, following a contentious divorce from her gambling-addicted husband and learning that her only daughter decided to live in India full-time after a run-in with a 26-year-old tattoo artist who believes he and Liza are the same age. She devises a plan to pass herself off as a 20-something in order to re-enter the ageist world of publishing.
Is that a musical?
No, it's a TV show. I said that.
That's crazy. Okay, we have to get back to Joe Locke. Okay, we got lots to talk about today.
Yes, but he was in Sweeney Todd, and I saw bootleg clips on TikTok, and he was delightful.
I saw the same clips.
And one of the first ladies of the American stage, Patti LuPone, and him are friends from Agatha All Along, and she came to see him in a performance. Patti LuPone is huge.
Yeah. She was great in that ABC comedy. Evita.
Gypsy.
We can't say that word anymore, DJ.
No, that's the name of the show. That's
a slur, DJ.
That's the name of the show.
Canceled. Jesus. I'm trying not to get canceled. But
it's literally the name of the musical. It's about Gypsy Rose Lee, the stripper.
You can't call people that, DJ.
That was her name.
I don't care what it was. Okay?
What about Gypsy Rose Blanchard?
We can't say that either.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I guess this is also my last episode of the podcast.
And DJ's getting canceled for that. I'm probably going to get canceled for that women's runaway thing I said a couple episodes back.
You didn't cut that out?
No.
Oh,
was I
Jesus.
supposed to?
I thought you would.
No, because it's not a domestic violence joke. I would cut it out if it was a bad joke, but it's a joke about religion, which is fair game.
I need a drink.
Okay. Thank you, Joe Locke. You were an awesome hot guy of the month. I'm going to miss all the hot guys of the month. It was such a great thing that we did, and it was so much fun to make all the TikToks.
And thank you, Joe Locke, for being our finale.
Yes, and on to bigger, brighter things.
So this week, we are drinking a Poggio Anima Asmodeus.
Asmodeus. Beelzebub.
It is from Italy. The rich sandy slopes and sun-drenched days of western Sicily are the perfect place to grow grapes for making premium wines. Cool Mediterranean nights enable perfect balance between fruit and acidity, dark purple in color with notes ripe black plums, licorice, blackberries, and a hint of black pepper. So good news, Paul. There are no tobacco leaves in this.
Period.
No more cigarette wine.
Oh, that wine was awful, guys. Don't try it.
This is a crack. It looks like a crack. Is there...
And we know you know what a crack looks like. Girl, you can't get that shit open? Oh my gosh. We gotta get a real man. Oh! Oh! This episode's gonna be a good one, guys. I'm excited.
ASMR pour. I really wish I hadn't started the whole visual pour too. It's so hard to get up out of the chair.
Right. But then the people get to see what's going on, what's going down. Period. Get into that. Alright, let's give it a sniff. Oh, God. I'm not gonna like this one, I don't think.
Why?
I don't know.
It doesn't smell. Okay, maybe it's gonna be a little dry.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's delightful.
Yeah, that's actually better than it smells. Okay. You know?
5.
Let me try it one more time. Give it a little. I'm gonna give this one a 4. It's a little bit too dry, but it's a very good wine. I like this Asmodeus wine. It's very good. Get up in this gig.
So, Paul, let me tell you a story.
All right, let's get into it.
This week, we're going to continue our deep dive into the truth behind The Conjuring, a story which is truly stranger than its fictitious adaptation. And so this is part 2 of our story of The Conjuring House and the truth behind the Conjuring movie. And let's recap part 1 for the folks at home.
All right, let's get into it.
So, Roger and Carolyn Perron and their 5 daughters moved from a suburb of Providence to a 200-acre farm in Harrisville, Rhode Island. Immediately upon moving in, the family began to experience ghostly apparitions and phenomena as... the girls saw a man appear and disappear in the foyer. Objects would disappear and reappear in strange places. Cindy was tormented nightly by multiple spirits chanting, "There are 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall." Carolyn, the mother, was unable to get warm in the house and was the target of quite a few violent physical attacks by an unseen entity, including by a wooden coat hanger. Ooh. Well, we know it wasn't Joan Crawford.
Right, I was...
No wire hangers ever!
I was about to make a very different hanger joke.
Christina, bring me the axe!
Oh my gosh, that was such a great ABC comedy film.
Oh, Jesus. The family was...
Anytime I don't know what anything is from now on, I'm just going to say, wow, that was a great ABC comedy.
Was it an after-school special?
No.
Wait, this is such a tangent. I'm so sorry. But speaking of, like, ABC comedy specials, and I brought up the after-school specials, when I was in high school, in one of our home ec classes, the teacher made us watch an after-school special. And I remember it was called Little Miss Perfect, and it was about a girl with bulimia.
Oh, no.
And it was just like this little half-hour show about, like, how she felt pressure, and so she developed bulimia. And then at the end, her mother's, like, beautiful, like, she's like Joan Collins. Mm-hmm. And it was made in the 80s, so, like, I think they made her look like Joan Collins because this was the era of Dynasty.
Okay.
And the mother's like, the girl's in the hospital because she's nearly died. Mm-hmm. And the mother's like, I want to show you something. She shows her a photo album. And the girl goes, "Who's that fatty?" And the mom goes, "That was me. I want you to know that." It was like something so cliche. And it was just awful. And it was a cooking class. The family was able. Jesus Christ.
Okay, pause and then start.
Wait, no, I'm just going to go from here. Paul, we cut it out, but Paul just told me the most unhinged joke.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to move past it.
You know, maybe if we have a Patreon one day. Well, actually, no, that's even too spicy for Patreon.
OnlyFans. You can put it on your OnlyFans, Paul.
Yeah, I'll put it on my OnlyFans.
You need something to supplement your income.
I really do. I mean, look what I'm wearing. I almost look like him.
Jesus!
You insulted my looks 2 episodes ago.
What? What do you mean? I did not.
You said, I dress myself, but I don't dress Paul. Don't get it twisted.
I did say that.
Yes.
So the family was unable to escape the home as they had sunk their entire life savings into buying the property. And with the economic downturn of the 1970s, their was no way that they would have been able to sell it without going bankrupt. In 1973, they first met Ed and Lorraine Warren.
You know what? I don't think they deserve that song. I take it back. I don't like them. I'm not fucking with them. I don't trust them.
Who had decided to take up their cause and investigate the home. Lorraine identified a deeply evil woman spirit she named Bathsheba. After months of investigation, Lorraine convinced Roger and Carolyn to let them do a seance in the home to try and conjure the evil entity and banish it. During the seance, Carolyn was attacked by an entity of pure evil, not of this world, which levitated furniture, spoke through her in a strange language, and curled her up into a ball. When Roger called out for the seance to stop, Carolyn and her chair were lifted into the air and thrown clear across the house into the living room, striking her head against the floor.
And that's where we left off.
And that's where we shall pick up. And now, before we pick up, I do want to explain why I picked Osmodeus wine for today's episode. Osmodeus is a demon in the traditional teachings. He's one of the princes or dukes or something of hell. And I did listen to that part of Catholic Catechism.
Yeah.
And as we all know, Ed and Lorraine Warren were demonologists. And they were notable for anytime somebody farted saying that it was due to demonic activity.
Exactly.
So, Ed and Lorraine, this one's for you.
Aren't we gonna do like a whole other series on them?
Yeah. Well, no, we'll eventually do an episode where it's just like them. But I figure we'll do that after we cover 2 more of their famous cases or so.
Okay, period.
I call dibs.
It's all yours. I'm not fucking with that.
So, Carolyn's been thrown across the room.
Hot.
And Roger immediately starts to go and help his motionless wife. And Ed grabs him and says, "No, it's too dangerous. You can't go and touch her until we're sure whatever's in her is out." Now, Roger is really pissed because he didn't want to have this seance in the first place. He doesn't particularly believe in any of this. And now he thinks he's just witnessed his wife be murdered by something. And this guy is just telling him, "No, don't go help her." So he turns around and he punches Ed Warren directly in the face and knocks Ed Warren to the floor.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And Andrea Perron, the eldest daughter who wrote a 3-volume memoir that I used for research on this, says yeah, I watched my father knock him to the floor. He punched him so hard. So he ran to Carolyn and lifted her from the floor to the couch where she started breathing again. He turned to the Warrens and their tech crew, their doctor, their priest, their medium, and said, "Get the fuck out of my house." As they were packing up, 2 of the tech crew went into the basement to get the equipment that they had down there. They had recorders and cameras and stuff like that. And they found it had all been destroyed.
Oh.
Torn apart into little pieces.
That's not good. That stuff's expensive.
As Ed was leaving, he looked up at the stairs and realized that Andrea and her younger sister Cindy were sitting there holding onto each other and had witnessed all of this. And he hugged them and said everything was going to be all right and to go back upstairs. But before they went upstairs, he looked at them with his bloody nose and said, "Whatever you do, don't call the police."
Who said that?
Ed Warren said that.
Why did he say? Oh, he was probably doing some shady shit. That's why.
So, now the Warrens did leave, and Carolyn, it took her 2 weeks to get back to normal. After this, and the Warrens would only visit the farm one more time, a month after the seance, and they came to check to see if Carolyn had survived or not.
Oh, Jesus. They were obviously very concerned as they waited a whole month after to check.
Now, I do want to be clear on something because we are covering what is called the Conjuring house. It was made famous by a movie called The Conjuring. We've all seen it. Ed Warren did not perform an exorcism on Carolyn Perron.
Okay.
Nor was Carolyn Perron ever possessed by a demon.
Okay.
what had happened during the seance was that the spirit who was conjured had used her as a conduit to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, when it threw her, was basically, I don't need you. I'm fucking out of here.
Mm-hmm.
There was no exorcism like in the movie. Carolyn was never possessed. And the entire Perron family want to stress adamantly that, because in the movie, if you haven't seen it, it's only over 10 years old.
That's crazy.
So,
I'm old.
So if I'm spoiling this for you, like, it's your own fault. At the end of the movie, when Carolyn's possessed by the spirit of Bathsheba Sherman, she nearly kills Cindy.
Yeah.
The family wants to be very clear that Carolyn never ever would do anything that would even remotely maybe hurt her girls.
Now, little lethal weapon, though? That's a different story.
Leave Andrea alone. Now, despite this horrible experience, the Perron family actually remain really fond of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They've said numerous times, I mean, Andrea says it multiple times in her book, she said it in interviews, that they were trying to help as best they could. They were just extremely misguided and were working with things that they were in over their head.
Yeah. And you know what? I do want to note that I did say at the beginning of the episode that I don't fuck with Ed and Lorraine, but I am open to having my mind changed. So if someone out there wants to try and change my mind, comment below.
Now, following the failed seance, activity in the house would continue. Andrea stated that there are at least 12 distinct ghosts in the house. So I'm just going to describe some of them.
Okay. Yes.
One of them was Manny, better known as the man who was standing in the foyer watching Mr. Kenyon as he left.
Okay.
From last episode. He was a very good spirit. They described him as kind of a guardian spirit. He would kind of watch out over them, make sure none of the other spirits would fuck with the girls. And it was Nancy who gave him the name Man because he was a man.
Okay.
But they really loved Manny. He was like another part of the family to them. Another spirit was that of a little boy named Oliver. And Oliver lived in what they called the chimney closet. And upstairs, it was like a little nook.
He's the ghost of a chimney sweep.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll sweep your stuff for a quarter, sir. For a pound, I'll sweep your chimney.
First of all, if you're trying to be a Victorian, he'd probably do it for a couple pence. I'll do it for a threepence.
Please, sir, my mom has hepatitis.
Please, sir, I haven't had anything but boiled cabbage for 6 years. I would like to try the bread. Oh. Dickensian orphans are not a joking matter, Paul.
I don't even. I'm not sure who
you don't even know what
is, but
you don't know Charles Dickens.
Oh, Dickensian. Okay.
Dickensian.
Oh.
I don't know who Kenzie is. That's the meme for this episode.
You can't throw out these fucking words that sound like some sort of made up bullshit. Like.
Paul's in.
For all I know, DJ just made that shit up on the spot,
No,
and
I'm
he's
not.
trying to make me look stupid.
No, I did not. Please comment below if you've ever heard the word Dickensian to refer to
Oh
Charles
yeah,
Dickens.
I'm sure everyone's heard of Dickensian. Yeah, I'm sure, DJ.
Oh, Jesus. So yes, Oliver, the Dickensian orphan in the attic.
That would be... Bitch, I'm dead. Please,
We're going to cut this out, but it's really funny because April, the youngest daughter, was kind of in love with Oliver.
Aw, why are you cutting that out? That's good.
Because I don't know if I want Andrea Perron to ever hear that. Anyways, Oliver, the chimney closet. We were in the chimney closet. So they kind of, it was like a little nook behind the chimney.
Okay.
And they kind of used it as a toy room and a playroom.
Mm-hmm.
And April was especially fond of Oliver because they would often play together. She was the youngest, and they were probably around the same age. She was 5 when they moved in, so he was probably around 5, 6.
Okay, period.
7. So they made friends. And it's really cute because when the Warrens came and they were talking about cleansing the house of all the spirits, April tried really hard to hide Oliver so that he wouldn't get cleansed away.
Aw. She said, you can't take Oliver. He's going to teach me how to sweep the chimneys.
No. There's this part in the book where the Warrens they interviewed the girls and they're like walking through the house. And Lorraine started to go in the closet and April ran in there. And I guess like there were a bunch of like little like cubby doors to get into the crawl spaces for storage. And I guess that's where Oliver like stayed. And April like ran in and she like tried to make it look like she was playing, but she had like her back pressed up against the door so Lorraine wouldn't go in there and find Oliver.
Oh my god.
And Lorraine's like, "What you doing?" And April's like, "Nothing."
Oh my gosh.
There was also a woman who would sweep up in the kitchen after all the girls would run through. And Cindy actually saw her once. We told the story about Cindy running through to get her books off Andrea's. So on another occasion, she was going to get her books. And she was running and she goes into the kitchen. And there's this woman in an old-fashioned dress sweeping. And they looked at each other. And apparently Cindy said, "Forget the books. I'm late for school. You sweep." And just walked out of the house without her books.
Oh my god.
And then there is something very dark and menacing in the basement.
Oh, as we know from Sam and Colby's video.
Yes, all of the parents and many others who have visited the house have said that there's just something dark and icky feeling down there. And I'm glad you mentioned Sam and Colby because right in here I say that I think that they described it best when they described it as a trickster.
Do you remember that part of that video where it's like they're filming them and then you see the stairs to the basement and then that creepy head pops up and pops back down? It's one of the scarier videos. And Sam and Colby didn't even notice it. It was like fans watching their video who noticed it. It's one of their creepier things they've caught. It's spooky, truly.
But what was tormenting Carolyn? Because remember, she was the target of all the abuse in the house for the most part.
Right.
I mean, there were instances where the girls would be in bed and their legs would be grabbed and blankets would be ripped off of them, like in The Bell Witch. But, like, Carolyn was getting the brunt of it. I mean, I didn't even tell the story in the first one where one time she was sitting on the sofa and she felt something pinch the back of her leg. And she looks down and she's gushing blood out of her leg.
Oh, wow.
And she like gets it cleaned up and there's this perfect little circular wound on the back of your leg. And she's like, what did I do? So our best guess is that it was a former mistress of the house.
Okay, it was a former mistress. And she, because you said last episode it felt threatened by her for some reason.
Now, this same spirit of a former mistress of the house that tormented Carolyn tried to make moves on Roger.
Oh. She wanted that duh. You ever get a craving for that dick?
I don't know how you added 2 H's into dick.
It's a talent. Tell your friends.
Now, Andrew states that despite the age of the house and like of all the plumbing, the furnace, the electricity, everything worked really well. Except when Roger was home. When Roger was home, something in the basement would always break down.
Okay.
And he would go down there, and as soon as he was down there, he'd feel somebody caressing.
The gentle caress.
Like running their fingers through his hair and like along his neck.
No, I don't like that. What if the wife's just like, why does he spend so many hours in the basement? Why is he moaning down there?
You want to use a puckwudgie as a fleshlight. He was using a long dead woman as a sex doll.
Yes.
No, not really, not really. He was very consenting.
He said, he's loyal to little whatever her name
Carolyn?
is. Yeah.
I've only said it 1,000,000 times.
I know. I'm gonna forget her name.
On another occasion, Roger stormed into the kitchen after having a fight with Carolyn. And while he was standing in there, he felt a woman's arms wrap around him. And he was like, oh, like, come to make up. And he turned around and no one was there.
Oh, Jesus.
Cindy also had many interactions with this woman where after Carolyn would tuck her in at night, the woman would come in and kiss her, and she knew it wasn't her mother because this woman was cold and she smelt of fruit and flowers, and that was not what her mother smelled like.
Oh, she got that warm sapphic kiss.
Like on the forehead. Yeah, but
Which forehead? I'm asking the important questions, DJ.
But yeah, Cindy's interaction with that, and I think that's why when they were making the movie, they decided that Cindy was going to be the one who was going to be like the one that fake Carolyn was going to kill. Because this woman did, like, she talked to Cindy and be like, I love you, I'm your real mom.
That's so creepy. Y'all ever seen that horror movie Mama?
Yes.
That's what that's giving.
Yes. Sorry, for a second there, I was
Okay.
like, wait, is that it? Or is it the one with Octavia Spencer where she starts killing, like, the high school kids?
Different.
That's Ma.
Yeah, that's different.
Not to be confused with Ma. Also not to be confused with Yo-Yo Ma.
Oh, yeah. The talented person on
Cellist.
that ABC
Cellist.
comedy.
He's a cellist.
I knew who he was. I'm just going to keep the ABC comedy
okay.
thing going.
Do you know what a cellist does?
I played the violin for 10 fucking years.
Did
DJ.
you?
Yes.
I never knew that about you.
Yeah, my mom forced me to play the violin for 10 fucking years, and it was the most... I will keep it PG because I know she listens to this, but the violin was not my favorite, but I stuck it out per mother's request.
Did your brother have to play the violin?
My brother was smart, actually. What he did is he would take that bitch to school and hide it in his locker.
Oh.
And he would just tell mom that he was going to, like, the violin practices and everything. And when the time came for the concert, he told her it was canceled.
Oh my god! Does your mom know this now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was about to say, are you getting him in trouble?
Yeah, No, Jesse was smart about that. That's something I never would have came up with.
Back to the story.
Mm-hmm.
And in case you were wondering, yes, Carolyn was still being tormented. One night, Carolyn woke up to find all of the furniture in her bedroom was on fire.
Oh, Jesus. I thought you were just going to say it was rearranged.
No, I mean, that happened a lot too, but no, this time she woke up, everything was on fire.
Oh my god. And that's a wooden house too, bitch, so
Yeah.
everything's going up.
And she was like, oh my god, my girls, they're gonna be burnt alive. And before she could react, the fire just went out. And she gets up and she turns on the light. There's no scorching. There's no smoke. There's no burnt smell.
Okay, that sounds like she was just, like, dreaming it or something.
No, like she was awake. Like she was like, oh my god, my children are gonna burn alive. And she sat up and everything stopped.
Hallucinations.
You know all about those.
I do. I'm not even sure if you're real.
We're all just a figment of Paul's
Can you
imagination.
imagine if I did 52 podcast episodes talking to no one?
Paul,
That'd be crazy, bitch.
You're just in a padded cell somewhere. You're talking into a corn cob from dinner thinking that it's a microphone.
Right.
Rocking back and forth. Conjuring house. The parents, not the Warrens.
Right. People keep trying to tell me, DJ's not real, Paul. And I'm like, no, he's real.
Puck-Wudgie flashlight. Puck-Wudgie flashlight.
Flashlight.
That's all because you're rocking and that's all you're doing.
Jesus.
But more terrifying than that was an encounter that she had with an entire group of angry spirits who were backing up this evil woman.
Oh.
She woke up to fire again, but this time the furniture wasn't on fire. She was surrounded by an entire semicircle of pilgrims holding torches.
That's weird.
Remember, the Pilgrims also did the Salem witch trials.
That's so weird. Where the Pilgrims were in Rhode Island. That makes sense.
Yeah, so the way Rhode Island, at least from my history class, the way I understand it was somebody got accused of being a witch and they got banished out of the forest and they were like, fine, I'm going to start my own colony, and that's Rhode Island.
Oh, period. That's honestly, low-key, that's really cool. I'm here for that.
So definitely like same eras of clothing. And they were all staring at her with these torches, and there was drumming. And all the ghosts were chanting the same thing. Beseech thee leave, afore ye go, beware the flame, the fiery glow. Was mistress once afore ye came, and mistress here will be again. Will drive ye out with fiery brew, will drive ye mad with death and gloom.
Okay. I don't know if I believe all that. Okay. That sounds a little too, like, double toil and trouble.
That's how they talked back then.
I don't know. It just rhymes a little too well for me. It's giving Hollywood.
You rhyme too well for me.
I do my best.
But then, this evil woman spirit appeared among them.
Mm-hmm.
And remember last time, she had no face, just like a rotting hornet's nest for a head.
Yeah.
Now she has a face. But it's just as bad. She has 2 sunken holes where her eyes should be. Her nose is literally decaying off of her face. She has no lips, but she smiles at Carolyn, revealing a set of jagged, crooked, yellowing teeth.
Well, you know what they say. Any hole's a goal, am I right, fellas?
It crawled right up into Carolyn's face and said, was mistress once afore ye came, and mistress here will be again. Will drive ye mad with death and gloom, will drive you into Satan's tomb. Thus has been spoken, thus has been read. Take leave of this place, or ye too will be dead. The woman hovered above Carolyn for a moment, and then hovered over to Roger, looked at him, and then started to go in to kiss him when Carolyn began praying, and everything vanished. And now Andrea is very adamant that, like, whatever, like, this stuff was going on, once her mother would start praying, it would stop. And it's really interesting because Carolyn came into this house an atheist and left very devout.
Oh.
Because of everything she experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Because she found, like, the only thing that helped was praying.
Oh, that's really interesting, actually.
Now, I know what you all are thinking. This is the real Bathsheba Sherman. Wrong!
You didn't have to yell. I'm right here.
I was yelling at them.
Wow, yelling at the audience.
I was doing it for emphasis.
Period.
It's theater, Paul. Theater. Jazz hands. Bathsheba Sherman was a real woman who lived in Harrisville, Rhode Island in the 1800s. There are rumors now that she was a Satan-worshipping witch who killed her own son as a human sacrifice. This rumor further states that another baby she was watching also died mysteriously, and when they did an autopsy, they revealed a tiny stab wound at the back of the neck, like from a knitting needle.
Oh, interesting. Like on the back of that bitch's leg.
Yeah. However, all of these are rumors. None of them has been substantiated. There are no records of Bathsheba Sherman ever being put on trial or being accused of being a witch or of murder. So please, if you're one of those people who go up to Harrisville, Rhode Island and go to the local Baptist cemetery and you knock over her tombstone, stop it. That poor woman has not been proven to do anything wrong, and she has no connection to the Arnold family who originally owned the property or even lived on it. So why would she be haunting it?
Exactly. Justice for Bathsheba.
And furthermore, when Lorraine didn't say it is Bathsheba, she said the spirit calls herself Bathsheba.
Period.
Which is a biblical name. I think she was like the queen of King David, the wife of King David from the Bible.
You know I don't know that.
No, neither do I. I should have researched that.
Oh well, not our problem.
Yeah. I mean, who's to say like it wasn't the Whore of Babylon?
How does that connect?
Satan's mistress. She's the precursor to the apocalypse.
Oh, so you're saying that's the one who might be haunting the Conjuring house? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, why would she choose the Conjuring house? I mean, there's much more interesting places she could haunt and like make them bigger. Like, geez, go for like the White House or something.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
If you want to make the apocalypse happen, a little house in Rhode Island.
well, I mean, if you believe the whole like story of like where Satan fell when he was cast out of heaven, maybe like that's where he got cast out.
Rhode Island.
Well, it wasn't Rhode Island back then.
Pangea.
Pangea.
Exactly.
Dinosaurs.
Wake up, sheeple.
Woolly mammoths.
Exactly.
More than likely, this woman's spirit was one of the actual mistresses of the home. Either Mrs. John Sherman, who died on the property at the age of 93, or Mrs. Susan Sherman, who hung herself in the barn.
Oh, okay, where the scythe thing
Yeah.
happened.
And Susan Sherman's body was actually found by her family, and it was cut down, and it was taken in the house, and everyone was just like, yeah, she died of natural causes. So she could be buried in a Christian cemetery.
Okay, here.
There were actually a number of suicides and violent deaths on the property throughout its history. In the 1800s, two men were crossing the property on their way to Massachusetts. It is right on the border. During a blizzard, and they froze to death, like hiding. There's a blacksmith shop, and they like hid under it. Because this is back when they built things like with crawl spaces underneath.
Yeah.
And so they hid under it to like get out of the snow, and they froze to death, and nobody found them till springtime when they started to smell.
Oh my gosh.
Prudence Arnold was a daughter of the family. She was actually essayed and murdered in the pantry of the house at the age of 11 by a 22-year-old man who wanted to marry her and was told no by her parents.
That's disgusting.
And do you remember what Lorraine Warren said about the pantry?
Yeah, that there was someone, a ghost in there reliving what happened to them, yeah.
Prudence's uncle, Johnny Arnold, hung himself in the attic of the house.
Okay.
And another Arnold family member died in the house after drinking horse liniment, which is pure grain alcohol.
Oh.
Which, if you drink too much of it, like industrial grade alcohol, it is poisonous.
I didn't know that. Well, makes sense actually, because alcohol is poison, but
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense.
But it feels so good in the moment.
It very much does. Love some alcohol. Love a little vape moment.
We don't endorse that here.
We do not. I don't vape.
Now, the stories of what was going on the farm and what affected the family was starting to get out. And it started to affect the family probably a little more than the actual haunting. The family was run out of a church after being accused of being devil worshippers who welcomed the spirits into their house.
See, that sucks. You got all this shit happening to you, and people are like, you did it yourself. It's your fault.
Neighbors would refuse to interact with the family because it was like, I don't want the haunting to catch me. Andrea was actually threatened by her high school principal that if she spoke about the haunting with her classmates, not only would she be expelled from school, he would personally make sure she never got into college.
That's insane. Like, she's just a little girl who's like experiencing something crazy, and you're gonna try and ruin her whole future. Like, that man should be fired.
Well, he's probably dead now.
Yeah, he had it coming.
We all die, Paul.
Yeah, we all got it coming. It just keeps coming. Is that that's the wrong song.
Now, despite everything that's happening, the torment, like, inside the house, outside of the house, the girls loved living on the farm. All of them said it was like the most magical place to live. They loved it so much. It was just this place out of space and time where everything was magic. And they started to feel like the ghosts were kind of like family. I mean,
It's giving Stockholm syndrome a little bit.
no, like I said, most of the hauntings were, so most of the hauntings in the house were like cries for attention. It'd be like, and then it'd be like, okay, we know you're here, and it would stop. Or Andrea said that when they were playing the radio, if a ghost liked the song, they would turn the volume up. Like let's say I don't know where they had the radio, but let's say it was in the kitchen, they were all in the dining room.
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere, the radio would just start turning up on a song. Or alternatively, like, it's the 70s, they'd put out like a 70s station on, and then all of a sudden, the radio by itself would change to an oldie station. And an interview that Andrea did with the host of Two Girls, One Ghost, Sabrina and Corinne, they said, well, what were the Spears' favorite type of music? And Andrea said they really liked 40s and 50s music.
Interesting.
And she said, it's really funny because she said, that's my favorite music. And she actually communicates with aliens with 40s and 50s music.
That's crazy.
We'll get into that more later.
Okay, that's insane.
But yeah, so most of them were cries for attention. Some of them were good.
Okay.
Like the lady who's sweeping the floors.
Okay.
Manny was a guardian spirit. He like kind of protected the girls. And they loved Manny so much that sometimes they'd actually set a place for him at dinner.
Interesting.
Oh, it's right here. When I was like, we'll talk more about aliens later, 2 bullet points away.
And here we are later.
When Andrew was 13, like when the first year of living in the house. Sorry, I'm trying to do math. 12 or 13, very early on living in the house, she witnessed a flotilla of UFOs going over the house, and it was her first conscious UFO experience, and she still has UFO experiences to this day.
That's so weird to me that, like, there's so much going on there. Like, not only just the ghosts, but the UFOs, too. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, Andrew is saying that she can actually... it's kind of sweet. She calls them her galactic family. And she can, like... She said she goes out and she'll, like, sing songs and, like, UFOs will, like, start hovering over top.
That would spook me a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be spooked.
And there was one occasion where Andrea walked into the dining room and she just saw an entire family from the colonial era sitting down to dinner. And they all looked up at her like she was the ghost before they disappeared. She went through a time slip.
Interesting. Yeah, the lost time's interesting also.
There's a lot of experiences of lost time. Like I said in the first episode, they refer to it a lot as being in a bubble. Where they would like experience like timelessness, or like time was going super slow or stopped, and then somebody would walk in the room and it would just pop and everything would go back to normal.
Right.
Or there was one time where they were playing hide and seek, and Cindy, there's this old wooden box in the woodshed, and she climbed into it, and it was behind this old like wood door piece of wood. And so she like climbed in and she like made sure the wood was over top of it so it didn't look like anyone could get in there. And she got in there and she was in there for a couple seconds, and then she was like, oh shit, no one's gonna find me, like I'm just gonna be stuck in here. So she tried to get out and she couldn't budge the lid at all.
Oh no.
Until I think it was April walked in and went, Cindy, are you in here? And all of a sudden, like, the lid just snapped open.
Interesting.
So just
That's
that
weird.
very, like a bubble, like all of a sudden it just popped.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Andrea was the first of the girls to leave the farm when she left to attend Chatham University right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Interesting. She was here in the good old bird. Get into
Yes.
that.
Now, within a month of going to school, she was really homesick. She said, I missed my family, I missed the farm, I missed my spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, at that point, she'd been living there for 6 years. A lot of those spirits probably were like friends and family.
Right, right.
So she begged her parents to fly her home for her birthday, which is in October, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she got home and she like walked in the house and she's like, "Oh my god, it's fucking freezing." And it's like October, so it's like cold, but like in the house it's like ice cold, which is a recurring thing in the Conjuring house.
Right.
And so during dinner, she was standing on the hearth of the fireplace, right up against the fire,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get warm, and she couldn't get warm. And all of a sudden, her father looked up at her, eyes wide, and went, "I think someone's come to welcome you home." And she turned, I think it was to her right, and there's a woman in old-fashioned clothing and an old-fashioned hairstyle smiling at her before disappearing. And Andrea said, "Now that I'm older, I can say that that woman has the face I have now."
That's so weird. So, like, it's like her in a past life or something? That's so interesting. And it's so weird the dad was so casual about it.
Well, he only saw the back of the woman.
But still being so casual about it.
Well, I
it's
mean,
like,
when you've lived in a haunted house for 6 years and this happens on the daily.
still, it's like, I think someone wants to say hello. Like,
In 1980, the Perron family finally sold the farm.
mm-hmm.
In the end, it was not the ghosts, or the torment, or the harassment in the town that drove them out. It was the winter cold.
I don't doubt it. That house is like,
I
rickety.
mean, you read this book, every other chapter there seems to be a blizzard, a snowstorm, something. And Carolyn was originally from Georgia. So imagine going from Georgia to winter all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Depressing.
all of the girls were devastated by this decision, but Carolyn was like, "One more winter in this place will kill me."
Mm.
And remember, from the torment, Carolyn is wasting away.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided, okay, we're going to move back down to Georgia, or we're going to move down to Georgia, where Carolyn's family was from. And they all reacted in their own ways of sadness. Nancy was actually so attached to the farm that she approached the new owners on the side and said, "If you need a caretaker, I'll stay."
I said.
And they said, "Yeah."
Oh, that's crazy.
On her last night in the house, Cindy confronted the spirits, which had stood around her bed chanting about 7 dead soldiers being buried in the wall every night for 10 years. And she ended up like she took them on.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Come on, you motherfuckers! Come on, you son of a bitch!"
Well, it only took her 10 years. You'd think after the first couple years she would have done that.
Well, I mean, it was like her last night in the house, and I think that's why she did it. And she literally held onto the bed, like she got onto the mattress and she held onto the bedpost, and she said like the whole night long the bed was just like spinning around the room, like somebody was just like shaking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she woke up in the morning and they had friends staying in the house, like downstairs on the sofa to help them move. And she was like, "Did you hear anything?" And they were like, "No." And she was like, "Of course not." Because that's how some, like the person in the next room would be having this horrifying experience, and then everyone is in the next room reading Reader's Digest.
Oh my god.
Before leaving, April spent months going into the chimney closet to say goodbye to Oliver, but like because she's older, he wouldn't come out. And on the last day she was there, she went in there and she said like, "This is the last day," and like the closet door opened on its own, which is what he would always do. And the last thing she said was, "I love you, Oliver. I always will."
Okay, that's really precious. That's definitely preciousmomentscollection.com.
I'm going to tear up at this one. As they were packing...
I swear to Jesus, if you cry during this
I'm
episode...
not going to cry.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to cry. But as they were packing up to go, Manny stood in the foyer watching them like he had watched Mr. Kenyon pack up 10 years before. With that same sad smile on his face.
Well, maybe it's time for him to pass on to the other side, into the light, so he doesn't have to watch all these people come in and out of this house, okay? He needs to move on to the other side.
2 months after moving to Georgia, Carolyn would receive a very unexpected call from Lorraine Warren, whom she hadn't heard from in like 5 years. Lorraine and Ed wanted to partner with Carolyn and Roger to write a book on their experience at the farm. Carolyn was very hesitant. She wanted to open a new chapter of her life, but Lorraine said, "Talk it over with Roger and let's talk again tomorrow." That very night, a heavy door that was leaning up on a wall in their basement fell on top of Carolyn out of nowhere.
You said a door?
Yeah, you know how like sometimes when you have like a door you're not using or like that you're getting rid of or whatnot, and you lean it up against the wall?
Oh, okay. Yes.
And the only way it's going to fall is if you pull it or something pushes it.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
She was like down there and like out of nowhere, this door just went on top of her.
Damn.
I think it was a door. The next day, she called the Warrens back and said she had absolutely no interest in bringing it back up and reliving the experience, and asked if they would kindly never call her again.
Jeez, so they weren't involved. Missing out on the money.
Now, 10 years of haunting really affected the family.
Yeah.
Carol and Roger would later divorce. And a lot of it was what happened at the farm. I mean, the book is full of all these fights between them. So 10 whole years of fighting, like, I feel for them.
Right.
Because, like, Carolyn's, like, getting the shit beat out of her, and Roger's just, like, not believing in ghosts. The entire family kept quiet about their experiences for over 30 years. Until 2011, when Andrea wrote a 3-volume memoir called House of Darkness, House of Light, about their time there. The whole family corroborates the stories. They all helped Andrea write in some way, telling them like, "Oh, I experienced this when other people were around. I experienced that." And there are still things, like, it is 1,500 pages. And Andrea's like, there are still things that my siblings refused, like, would not let me put in the book. There's stuff that I refused to talk about. There's stuff that my parents experienced that they talked about because it was just, like, so terrifying. It's like, I don't even want to speak about it.
I bet the Warrens were sick when they released their own book about it, and they refused to work with them on theirs.
What was Andrew's decision? It wasn't like Carolyn and Roger did it. And also it's 30 years later. It's not like they turned around and then, like, the Warrens were like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do it. Then in the next year you hear, "Oh, the Harrisville Haunting" by Roger and Carolyn Perron.
Hey, I mean, it was their experience. Ed and Lorraine Warren, they were just a blip in the radar, okay? They didn't live there.
When in 2013, Warner Brothers decided to make The Conjuring, they read through Andrea's books. And they decided to base the film solely off the Warrens' case files, as the story told in Andrea's books was simply too scary, and they were trying to get a PG-13 rating. This is one of the only cases I have ever heard of, based on a true story, being made less scary and less dramatic for the screen.
That is interesting. They had to make it less scary. You know what? I want to see the rated R version of this movie.
There is no rated R version.
I know, but they should make one.
They were so adamant.
They should make one. I need to see that.
Now, Andrea is now working on writing a screenplay for a television series based on the family's experiences.
Oh.
That is actually based on what happened.
Oh, well, I hope Oliver's in there.
I hope so. I hope Manny's in there.
I don't care about Manny.
Oh, but Manny.
I don't give a fuck about Manny.
Now, despite that, Andrea's actually became kind of a spokesperson for the film. Warner Brothers actually sent her out on a publicity tour for it to talk about it. And she still goes and gives lectures and talks and interviews talking about the real experience of the Conjuring, like within the house. And she does admit that she very much enjoys the Conjuring film as a work of fiction.
Yeah, because if you listen to the story that actually happened to them and what the movie is, it's like way different, completely different.
Now, there is a lot of contention about whether or not this has actually happened. The woman that the parent, who I don't know if the parents sold it to her, but a woman who owned the house after the parents, like through the 80s, she operated a daycare out of the home. And she's adamant that nothing happened and that the parents made it all up and that it made her life a living hell because people would come out to the farm and like harass her, like want to look inside. And she's like, nothing ever happened. But there are also like drawings from the preschool of a woman with a bent neck.
That's creepy. I don't like that. That's so creepy.
In 2022, the house was so. In 2018, it was sold to a couple who were going to convert it into a ghost hunting retreat.
Right.
And during pandemic, they had live streams going from the house all the time. Their daughter was doing TikToks in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2012, they sold the house to Jacqueline Nunez, who now operates it as a tourist attraction. You can go for tours, or you can rent it out for paranormal investigations yourself.
Ooh, spooky.
She featured in that Sam and Colby documentary we watched last year. That was a whole week of stuff.
Yeah.
In which Cody and Satori did their tapping thing, which has been debunked and decredited.
Yes, it's spooky. It's spooky. Not spooky because what they did wasn't real, but
the spirits are still there, and they still make their presence known. Andrea and her sisters will still visit, and each time the spirits come to welcome them. In the book, Cindy and Nancy, I think, went back. They were the first two to go back in 1996. Mm-hmm. And they both heard, "My God, it's you, you're back." Like a woman say, "Oh my God, it's you, you're back." Mm-hmm. Like real excited.
Right, yeah.
On other occasions, there have been like EVPs and like messages coming through the spirit box. Like one time, a psychic said like, "Oh, Andrea's coming back, like coming this week," and it said, "We know." And one time Andrea was actually there and somebody said like, "Do you have any messages for Andrea?" And the message came back, "We miss your family."
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah, that's so cute. That's precious.
Andrea actually thought that Manny was Johnny Arnold, the one who had died in the attic. Mm-hmm. But recently he actually came through on an EVP and said his name is actually Joseph. And he confirmed it because everyone was like, "Who's Joseph?" And he came back, "Nancy called me Manny."
Interesting. Joseph. Okay.
When asked why they finally came out publicly about the haunting, Andrea quotes her mother. "This is not the type of story to take to the grave. If we lived it, we should tell it."
Exactly. Yes.
Andrea and her 3 remaining sisters maintained their time at the farm was a time of both light and darkness, good and bad, love and hate. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Andrea maintains that the story of her family's time at the farm is a love story because, after all, love conquers everything.
Love does conquer everything, in the words of Sailor Moon.
And she says that it was her family's love that really got them through that time, and the love that they shared between each other and the love they shared with a few very special spirits.
That's actually really cute. That's really precious. That's a nice ending to that story.
Thank you. And that is the true story, or at least a part of it, because, I mean, 1,500 pages.
Huge books.
And I watched like 3 different interviews with Andrea Perron. I listened to 6 different podcasts. And I had to boil it down to 2 hour-and-a-half long episodes.
Yeah, that was a lot of information and a lot of research to sift through.
But I figured it was a good way to end our first year.
Yeah, and it's been a good year. That was a good episode. It was really interesting learning more about The Conjuring and learning about stuff I didn't know about The Conjuring before. I don't know. It's a much better story than the actual movie is. This is a much better story for sure.
I really hope Andrea does sell that script for miniseries, television series, whatever. Because there's so much that happens. Like, the chalkboard.
Right.
That would be, like, one episode, like, where it's just happening in the background the entire time. Like, it getting wiped down or, like, smeared. And then the end, it's just shattered. Like, destroyed.
Right.
Like, what a great encapsulation of what they were dealing with.
Right. I hope they have a side plot where Oliver tries to teach the kids how to sweep chimneys. I think that would be iconic.
Not the sweeping lady?
No, because she only does floors. The children are for the chimneys because they can fit up the little places. That's why they have the children, like, clean the chimneys.
Children should not be in schools. They should be working in the factory. They have only so many good years where their fingers are a little nimble enough to fix the machinery.
Exactly. Bring child labor back in 2025.
Mrs. Woodstone, you have a child labor problem. We do not. We're the highest rated employer of children in the county. That's the problem. They just made it illegal.
You said that 2 or 3 episodes ago, girl.
I know. And I'm bringing it back.
Girl. Well, besides The Conjuring, do we have any reflections on a year of investigations and a year... Oh, bitch! Don't be crying, okay?
I'm not crying. I was just taking a deep breath.
Okay, it looked like you were about to start crying.
No.
Okay, we don't need tears, okay?
No, if I was going to start crying, my lips start quivering and I start blinking a lot.
Oh, no. Like you're having a stroke.
Yes, exactly.
Any reflection on a year of Crips and Corks?
Yes. If I could go back and do it all again, I wouldn't change a thing. You were really prepared for me to say something nasty.
Right, I was ready for the punchline.
No.
If I could go back and do it again, I would do it again, but with less hepatitis.
You know, that's pretty on brand for you, considering...
Wait, is hepatitis an STD?
I think it can be.
Girl, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to do more research on hepatitis.
But I mean, you did have the scare in there.
The scare.
The scare.
Oh, I did have a health scare. Oh my gosh, that was spooky. It was an interesting year for sure.
You had 2, actually.
Yeah, I have a lot. It was a very interesting year for Paul, for sure. A lot of interesting things happened to me this year, as you all know. A lot of failed dates. We went paranormal investigating, which was so much fun. I mean, we captured things that I cannot explain and, like, probably never will be able to explain. I mean, I don't know. If this is what the first year of investigating and podcasting has, like, the coming years are gonna be insane. Like, it's gonna be cool. I'm super
Do you know what I just realized?
excited.
This is the first story I think we've told on the podcast that had a happy ending.
I'm sure a lot of them had happy endings.
No, normally it's just like, and they got away. Let's go into theories.
No, because the Lost in the Woods, the national parks, both of them were, like, returned and found. That's
Was that a really happy ending?
Well, depending on if they really liked Catherine or not, depending whether they liked Linda or not. Maybe some people were rooting for them to stay lost in the woods. Who knows? No. Do you have a favorite story from this past year?
Maybe Bell Witch.
The Bell Witch. That's an interesting favorite. Okay.
It was just very fun to research and tell. And
Yeah, it was an interesting story.
what about you?
Oh, my favorite episode from this past year That's a really good question, actually. I probably should have thought of my answer before I asked you. Honestly, I don't know off the bat. Let me think about it. Let's move on
Okay.
to the next question, and then I'll think about it and have an answer
Okay.
by the end of the
Um,
episode.
what is one topic that you really look forward to covering in the next year?
Oh, geez. I'm really looking forward to. We have some investigations planned for the next year that I'm really excited to cover and really excited to do. Obviously, I can't tell you guys what they are yet because we keep our investigations surprises, but I'm really excited for some investigations we have coming up. How about you?
I am really excited because I'm going to do an episode that's a little different. Where it's, I don't want to do it too much because I actually want to do it in November after we get through spooky season. But it's a little different because it's basically about the travels of a corpse.
The Travels of a Corpse.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to that one. That sounds interesting. I thought of my favorite episode, though. My favorite episode was The Love Pass.
Oh, that was a really good episode.
That's
Can I
probably
change my
favorite.
answer?
Yeah, The Love
Yeah,
Pass.
that was a really good episode.
Or the one we did with Tristan talking about movie sets.
That was good.
Haunted movie sets was a really
That
good
was really good.
episode.
But I mean, there's just something about that Love Pass episode.
Oh God.
I think that's when everything clicked.
That was a really
Everything
good one.
like everything's perfect about that episode.
It was an amazing episode.
Like the story's perfect, the way like not to toot my own horn, but the way I presented it was perfect. Like
Right.
and like we were just on our game.
It was an awesome episode.
And like every episode since then has been that. But like before that, I kind of remember feeling awkward going into every episode.
And now we just like turn on the camera and it's on, bitch, and we're ready to go.
And then we turn it off and we go at each other's throats because off screen we can't stand one another.
Yeah, we hate each other.
That's not true. Anyone who knows us.
Actually, people think we're too close, but
Yeah. I mean, we should.
yeah, we should probably spend
put a
more
little-
time apart.
We should put a little distance there if we want to get married.
Right, exactly.
To other
exactly.
people, because as it's going, like, we're becoming each other's only options.
Honestly. And I do want to really quickly shout out some of our guests. When we had,
We had Vivian.
Vivian was so fucking funny.
We had Vivian. We
Alex
had Alex Starr.
So
We
funny.
had
So good.
Hunt Seekers, LLC.
When we talked about McCamey Manor, that was such a good episode.
We
Having
had
people-
Tristan Grimm.
Yeah.
And we had Citrus.
Citrus was so fucking funny too.
Yes. That's probably my second favorite episode.
Citrus, that was so good. We were just kikiing. It's so fun to kiki. And also shout out Lennon and Cam from Project
Yes.
Paranormal and MLAR. Definitely, we went on our first.
I don't even
paranormal-
think of them as guests. I just think of them as, like, special, like...
Well, we did do our first investigation with
I
them.
know, but I just think, like, oh, it's, like, also starring.
You-
It wasn't
I
like
get what you're
it
saying.
wasn't like guest starring. It was like starring DJ and Paul, also starring Lennon and Cam.
Right, we had this experience with them and we talked
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Like something more because we had that experience.
No, very that. All of our guests were iconic, and I'm super excited to have more guests and see what guests we might have in the coming
Yes.
year. We don't have any planned, but
No,
we'll see.
no. Also, let us know what you want to see more of. Like, if you want to hear more Bigfoot stories or more, if you do want more guest episodes, if you want less guest episodes, if you want
Right.
more two-parters, if you say please fucking stop the two-parters, although we don't do too many.
Right.
I think we learned our lesson after Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, Lizzie Borden was interesting. Not in a bad way, but it was fine.
It was just a little too big to handle.
Yeah, it was cool. It was interesting. It was fine. But yeah, let us know down below like what you guys want to see, what you guys like, what you guys don't, because we're here to listen, you know?
And one thing that I really want to start up this year is doing listener episodes. So please, we cannot do that without you. Please email us your personal stories, your friend stories, your coworker stories, your grandma stories, the creepy lady who walks her dog in your back alleyway stories.
Right.
Just email us cripsandcorks@gmail.com.
Exactly.
And we'll, as soon as we get enough stories to start one, we'll do one.
Exactly. We're ready for the listener episodes. We don't know what we're going to call it yet, but we'll think of something.
I have an idea for off camera.
Period.
In case it doesn't pan out. In case you hate it. Is that all she wrote?
I think that's all she wrote. Thank you guys for joining us on this adventure through this year and onward and upward to the next year.
Yeah.
Many more episodes.
Next time you
adventures.
see us, it will be a new month, and for us, it's a new year.
Mm-hmm.
Please like, subscribe, follow wherever you are listening or watching. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, go down to our description below and hit that text us button if you'd like to text us your thoughts and comments. If you are watching on YouTube, you can comment below, or if you'd like to text us, just log into Spotify or Apple Podcasts and just go in there and shoot us a text from there. Also, please connect with us on social media, and you can DM us. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at Crips and Corks. I just said at TikTok. Or on TikTok or Instagram. Please follow us on all of them at Crips and Corks Pod. Paul, where can they find you when you're at home?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, guys, it is delivery. It's not DiGiorno. Damn it! I messed it up! It's delivery. Oh, fuck!
It's DiGiorno, not delivery.
Thank you for getting me there. Let's round this shit out. I need to go. We're done.
If you'd like to follow me, please do so on Instagram and TikTok at The Real Beach Powers. And if you'd like to write me a love letter, please address it to The Conjuring House, Harrisville, Rhode Island. And remember, sometimes all you need is a little bit of love. And keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose.
Bye.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Dobby's a free elf.